This is Asia's Farm to Fork 5 Good Questions podcast, bringing you insights and views from across Asia's food value chain. Now, for today's interview. Hello, everybody. I'm Duke Hip, host of Asia's Farm to Fork 5 Good Questions podcast. This is a very special episode for us. This happens to be our very first episode. It's also Earth Day, as you know. And we're fortunate to be joined by an agriculture industry leader in Asia. I'm speaking of Mr. Gustavo Palerosi Carneiro, Senior Vice President, Agricultural Solutions, Asia Pacific at BASF, and also current president at CropLife Asia. Hi, Gustavo.
Hi, Duke. Happy Earth Day, and it's a pleasure to join you in this first CLA podcast.
Excellent. Thanks, Gustavo. We appreciate you doing this. Well, if it's okay, I think in the spirit of the 5 questions, we'll jump right into the first question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, one of the buzzwords that's been used more and more with food and agriculture in particular, and especially on a day like today, is sustainability. People are rightfully so wondering, where does our food come from, and is it grown in a sustainable way? And that's the role now. This is heightened role with consumers. And I just want to ask you what sustainability means to a leader like you, and what do you think as far as how important this really is for Asian agriculture?
Thanks, Duke. I think for me, one easy way to explain sustainability is thinking on the right balance between economical, environmental, and social responsibility. And it's really right about finding this right balance among these three elements. At BASF Agriculture Solutions, we say that we want to find the right balance for success for farmers, agriculture, and future generations. So we take all these sustainability aspects. And how do we do that? Ensuring that solutions for farmers, that they can produce their crops at affordable way, foods that bring the right nutrition, also the right taste. At the same time, solutions that are safe and convenient for farmers, and at the same time protecting natural resources. When we look to APEC, here is 60% of the global population, but only 30% of the agricultural land is here. So we have enormous challenges in Asia Pacific to produce food sustainably. And again, the challenge is not only about the quantity of foods that we are going to produce, but the quality today and tomorrow. We want our children, we want our grandchildren to have access to the same quality of food as we have today. So I think also, Duke, one more thing, consumers want to know if they are consuming something which is sustainable or not sustainable. And I think consumers are becoming more and more willing to pay for more sustainable solutions or not to consume products that they don't think is sustainable. And this is valid for every aspect, not only for food, but for the clothes they use and so on. So there is a huge pressure for the entire value chain on sustainability in every industry. It's not special to agriculture. And if I can be a little bit longer, I think innovation plays a very strong role when it comes to sustainability, because innovation helps us to produce more with less land, less water, or less agrochemical inputs. And with innovations, I believe we will contribute to the implementation of UN Sustainable Development Goals. One last aspect I want to mention is that the aspect of carbon emissions, and it's becoming more and more important. And one day when we go to supermarkets or products that we consume, we mention what is the carbon footprint. In BASF, we have announced that we want by 2050 to be carbon net, and this is it's a target that I'm very proud of. Sorry for the long answer, but I think that's for me it's a good way to explain how important is sustainability for me personally and for BASF.
Oh, that's a great answer. Thank you for that. And clearly you're very passionate about that. And one of the things you mentioned kind of is in my head. I'm thinking about farmers. You mentioned a lot there, the role of farmers. That's where it really all begins. And here in Asia, as you know, we have the smallest size farms. We have the greatest number of smallholder farmers. I think something like 85% of the world's smallholders live and work right here in Asia. So within the context of what you just mentioned, thinking about that sustainability aspect, what do we need to do? What can we do better to make sure the farmers have what they need to be successful and also continue to be good stewards of the land?
Thanks for the question, Duke. and indeed, I think Asia is the place where most of the farmers are around the globe, and they are very diverse and they have also very different needs. If I can think on elements that are in common about smallholder farmer needs, I think one is access to information. It can be weather information, market information, market prices, also information about good agricultural practices, agronomic advices, product information, anything that can help farmers to make better decisions. I think this is one thing in common that I think the industry should try to our best to promote. The second thing is access to innovation. From new seeds to new crop protection or to digital farming, high-tech equipment, everything that can help a farmer to save resources or optimize production. And here CropLife Asia is working very hard to allow farmers across Asia to have access to innovation. And third, it's about increasing in smallholders' income, access to financing, and also prosperity. It's essential that farmers get the right compensation to what they do. Otherwise, it's very difficult to speak about sustainability with a farmer that does not earn the minimum that they need for themselves and for their family. So to wrap up, Duke, we need to ensure that smallholder farmers are prepared for the challenges and benefiting for the needs that we all depend on them. That's why also we say farming is the biggest job on earth. Yeah? And farmers should not be restricted to access to information, innovation, and at the same time, they need to be profitable. Altogether, I think this would drive sustainable farming in Asia Pacific to smallholders.
Okay, thanks for that. Well, we're moving right through these, and this is going quite well. My third question I have really is sort of a continuation of this discussion we're having around the challenges that we're facing here in Asia. The UN is telling us that things are not staying the same; they're growing. The world's population is growing. Here in Asia, population is growing. We know by 2050, the population will be somewhere between 9 and 10 billion people. At the same time, there are some specific challenges we're facing here in Asia with respect to hunger, malnutrition, a lot of troubling trends. I think 2/3 of the children around the region are suffering the physical effects of malnutrition, particularly again within Asia, per a UN report that was published earlier this year. So again, a big challenge, big job ahead. I guess my question to you is, how can we do a better job of producing more? The need for more food, more safe, nutritious, and more affordable food to feed this growing population.
Yeah. Look, I think economic progress in Asia Pacific has brought some progress in combating hunger and malnutrition in the recent years. However, the global pandemic situation has been a big setback to many parts of our region. Many economies and people are really suffering from an economic slowdown, mainly those that are depending on tourism or traveling that is restricted today. So global economic, political, and trade volatility today is very high, and this is really not helpful for the topic that we care and we are speaking now. So we need to make sure that people have access to enough high quality, affordable, and nutritious food. And this is a very complex issue. It involves collaboration among many sectors of the economy, governments, and industry players. Yeah, we need to help farmers to grow more and better food more efficiently. And that's the mission, Duke, that we are all dream about, and we are all working day and night toward it. And let me reflect in one practical example. Yeah, many fruits and vegetables crops require a lot of inputs and efforts from farmers, making them also in the end of the day more expensive. So anything we can do to make it easier for farmers to grow these crops on a more resilient, on an easier way, it's going to help to address the question you raised regarding food prices. And fruits and vegetables are often perishable, which means that without an efficient also distribution, a lot of food is wasted and doesn't make it to the end consumer. And this is another area that require attention. So new technologies, being seeds, being crop protection or digital, farming will also be a key drivers to drive sustainable food production. And Duke, I guess in the end, it always comes back to the topic of innovation, right?
No, absolutely, absolutely. Well, and we talked about the UN, right? These figures are coming from the UN. The challenges are great, and they're really helping in many ways as far as leading the discussion. And they'll be leading the discussion later this year with a platform they put together called the UN Food System Summit. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but basically this Food System Summit is taking a look at the current 17 Sustainable Development Goals, these 17 SDGs, and trying to determine what's the best way to identify new actions to bring progress to all 17 of these, again, through the prism of making sure we have a healthier, more sustainable and equitable food system. In the wake of COVID-19, we really now know how fragile the food system is. I think it's been abundantly aware to all of us here in Asia and really around the world. So in that context, as far as the challenges within the food systems and the fragility of food systems here in Asia, are there one or two must-haves that you would put on your list as far as what we need to have as far as making food systems more resilient going forward?
Yeah, no, it's a fact, Duke, that Asia today is not self-sufficient in terms of food production, and much of our region relies on import from other parts of the world. And unfortunately, as we experience today, the supply chains can be very, very vulnerable, being availability of transport or any other challenge that we might face in terms of bringing that food to the consumers here in Asia. So in addition to that, also we see a increasing volatility in terms of global trades, making countries to desire to also become more self-sufficient and not needing to rely on imports from other countries. So more attention needs to be paid in the importance of trade and supply chain, so disruptions are minimized. It still remains the issue of weather resilience as well. Industry is always looking to solutions to make crops more resilient to weather changes, being heat, water, or any other aspect. So to wrap up, countries and companies are looking for more resilient production and supply chain methods. And what are the alternatives and sources and transportation when things do not developing as planned? This is the question that every country and every organization is thinking. Also, how we can be less vulnerable to weather changes. So I think these are points very important to our industry, and we are trying to address.
Okay, thank you. Well, we've made it to the final question, and I know we've talked a lot about a lot of the challenges. We talked a great deal about many of the challenges, and there are so many, but I also don't want to walk away focusing on just the negatives. The fact is that there are just as many opportunities in Asia, just as many good things on the horizon. You see a lot of good developments and cause for optimism. So in that spirit, we want to ask you maybe as a parting question to look into your crystal ball, think about the future. If you're looking forward by 10 years, is there a development that you think this is going to happen, or there's a very good chance this is going to happen as far as something that's really positive for the region?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, look, I don't have a crystal ball here in my home to tell you how 10 years will be. And I probably see what you see and everyone sees, right? What I see a very growing interest on topics like precision farming, use of drones, using of farmer sensors, the topic of urban farming as well, very growing exponentially in Asia, use of blockchain to food traceability. So many things are happening today. Yeah. One big thing that is happening is definitely the development of alternative protein sources like cell culture meat or other possibilities. Asia seems to be catching up very quickly, not only from the production perspective, but also consumption as well. Everywhere you go, at least from Singapore, you find those alternatives already. Yeah. So I think in 10 years, Asia will likely be a leading region in this area. But I think you would agree that technology today develops faster and faster, and very soon, and I always give this example, we will look for outside the windows of our offices and home, and we are going to see cars running the streets without a driver. So can you imagine what could happen also within agriculture? I think a revolution is happening today. So perhaps, look, not in 10 years, but maybe 20 years, we'll be talking about space farming. I don't know what you think, but this is also a possibility.
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, things are happening fast. I don't think we ever really would have seen the progress we would have imagined, what we've seen just the last few years and what's happening. So, Gustavo, thank you. Thank you for your time today. You've made it. You're off of the 5 Good Questions hot seat. We appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Duke. Thank you also, CropLife Asia, for the opportunity for the discussion today. I'm very proud to have taken this role as president of CropLife Asia in this very important time for our region and for our industry. I think plant science has an important role to play in making food supply chain more resilient and sustainable. And I also hope more of these discussions that can contribute to work together with other food and agriculture stakeholders across our region to meet these growing demands from societies happening. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much as well. And maybe we come back in 20 years, we'll talk about the space farming. Thanks, Gustavo. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast. And if you did, please rate, review, and subscribe. We look forward to bringing you another 5 Good Questions interview